What's going on, guys? Tony here from Rolling with the Bowlins. I know we've been a little MIA on some videos here lately. We've had some craziness going on in the bowling camp that we'll discuss at a later time. Just trust me, it's been a little hectic. Anyway, guys, before we get into today's video, I want to discuss something we're doing Saturday, August 14th. That should be the Saturday after this video airs. Anyway, guys, we're going to be doing a little Jeep cruise. So if you find yourself in the area of South Bloomfield, Ohio at 9:30 a.m., we'll be meeting at the Circle K there in South Bloomfield. Like I said, 9:30 a.m., hitting the road at 10:15 a.m. We're going to take a nice little Jeep cruise down to Hillbilly Hot Dog. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a ride down through Hocking Hills. We're going up through Wayne National Forest, over into Point Pleasant, West Virginia, around, which made famous from the Mothman, So if you believe in folklore, it might be something you want to check out. We're going to make a day of it, stop over Hillbilly Hot Dog. Anybody and everybody's welcome to join. You got your Jeep, you want to take a ride. You don't necessarily have to have a Jeep. If you just want to come tag along for a cruise, please welcome to join us. Hope you see you there. Like I said, this will be Saturday, August 14th at the Circle K in South Bloomfield, Ohio. 9:30 a.m. meeting up there and 10:15 hitting the road. If you don't want to go for the long ride, please still come out and say hello if you're in the area. If you just want to stop by and say, hey, love to see you. All right, guys. So moving on into the video for today, this is just some things that's kind of rattling around in my head, and I'm sure it's probably in a lot of full-time RVers' heads right now. Because one thing 2020 and 2021 has showed us is anything is possible, everything is crazy, and this just sucks. We never thought they could ever shut the country down, and they did, and that really put a hindrance on a lot of full-time RVers, places to go, places to be. This really disrupted a lot of everybody's plans. And, granted, I know plans change, but when they shut down everything and they shut down campgrounds and you're a full-time RVer, that leaves you kind of SOL. You're out there with your thumb up your butt, not knowing what to do. So, what's the right plan here before hitting the road again? Because everything seemed to be going fine and dandy, and then all of a sudden now they're talking about doing this again. And I don't know about the rest of you guys. Yeah, that really became a huge problem for full-time RVers, not finding places to be, finding places to keep their RV, because you really don't have any other place to fall back on unless it's a relative. And I don't know about you guys, I love my family, but I really don't want to be the one that's crashing at their place. And I want to have a perfectly good camper of my own, but see, some of your family, you can't even take a camper to their property. So, this is where I think this year a lot of full-time RVers, who are planning, their getaway from the areas that are going to get cold, is to have some sort of real contingency plan here. If you got a place that you've been camped through all this mess that we've had, if it's something that you guys can continue to keep that site, like what we've been discussing with the campground where we're at, is going ahead and keeping that site that we currently have and just keep paying for it even though we're not there, which is, that's an added expense to full-time RV life. Luckily, this place here is not as expensive as some, but it's still, a price, money out your pocket that you're paying for not being there. That's one of the things that you got to be concerned with. So you're also taking away from your monthly budget when you continue to pay for a campsite that you're not at. Now, some people live on a tighter budget than others. That's something you better want to keep in mind. That, well, I'm paying X amount of dollars at this place here not to be here. Now I'm going to pay X amount of dollars at this place here, things like that. It's going to become, in my opinion, it's going to become more costly. So what do you do to combat that extra cost of holding on to a campsite? Because a lot of people don't have the luxury of having a piece of property or a piece of land that they can go to. And some people still have to work, and you have to have, either you work outside the RV or, luckily Miss Jill, she works online. So at least one of us could possibly have employment if things get shut down everywhere else, but more than likely my job's not going to get shut down because I'm a truck driver. I mean, that's something that's probably not going to get shut down. I'm not saying it can't happen, but highly unlikely it's going to get shut down for me. So I need to be in a place where I can work, and it's going to be probably, a place closer to towns, things like that. Maybe not. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think any of us know what's really going to happen. But like I said, the biggest thing is, I think people should really start thinking about this time, is because, everybody was on the fence of, oh, they're not going to do this, they can't do that, but they did, and it really put a hurting on a lot of people, and a lot of people full-time RVing. I've seen a lot of people in the comment section telling us about how they're, giving up full-time RV life because of 2020 and all the lockdowns and restrictions and things like that. I get messages all the time from people talking about that and asking, what to do. And, and honestly, I didn't really have a whole lot of answers for people to what they could do. I sit here and think about what we could do, and like I said, the only thing I'm coming up with is holding on to a campsite that you can have for a long duration. But the flip side of that is you're going to continue to pay for that, and it's coming out of your monthly budget. And if you're living on a tighter budget, like I said, it's going to be a lot rougher for people. But my personal thought, now I'm just going to throw this out here, my personal thought is possibly have a campsite that you can keep. That's what me and Miss Jill are thinking about what we're going to do. We've been discussing that with the current campground we're currently located at. They don't seem to have a problem with that. Of course, why would they? They know they're getting their money. So that's something you might want to approach if you guys are full-time RVers and you've been kind of riding out the storm at a certain RV park this whole entire time. Maybe try to get a long-standing campsite at that location. Unless it's just a place you couldn't stand, then of course try to find some other place that will suit the needs for you and kind of be open year-round. But see, you also got to watch about those, because some of these campgrounds, unless they have people who live there full-time, sometimes they can still shut those down. Just like state parks and stuff, that they shut us down. That's one thing that a lot of people lost a lot of money. Like ourselves, we lost a lot of money from a state park who refused to make good on the money that we put out, because literally we paid for a couple weeks of camping when we got there, and we were there not even 24 hours, and they shut the place down and kicked us out. We never did get our money back, or a rain check for a later date to come camping at their location. No, nothing. Just you hear the crickets when you ask them about it. They just whatever. It's not their problem. They don't care. They got your money. That's it. And I think that's happened to tons of people across the country who's full-time RVers who've planned to be at these places here, and then when they decided to shut all this stuff down, everybody just got screwed out of their money. I don't think that's fair, but now it's one of these things that we thought everything was starting to get kind of back to normal there, but now they're back at this again. So I think a lot of people's going to have this question of what they should do. And like I said, my thought process is try to keep a campsite if you can. One of the things we're considering doing is buying a smaller camper, possibly a truck bed camper to throw in here, and we'll take out a few weeks, maybe a month at a time, but stay closer to a home base kind of place for right now, just till we see what's going on. That's kind of what we're thinking about doing. It's not necessarily that's what we're going to do. We've been looking and considering what would fill our needs. And if you've been looking at RVs lately, because of everything going on in the world, they've shot right through the roof. I mean, as far as cost, and then some of the stuff that they want big money for is just really why? It's junk. It's not worth the money, in my opinion. But the search continues for us, but that's kind of the things we're kind of thinking about doing, or possibly buying a Class B and just taking off a few weeks to a month at a time, and then coming back to home base and keeping the campsite we have for a home base. But one of the other things I want to talk about is being ready for this kind of stuff. This is where you definitely want to have your bug out bags ready. You want these bug out bags to be full of extra change of clothes, money, cash money, not cards, because of the shit hits fan, you can go swipe a card. My thought process is to keep about $100 in your bug out bag, each one of you. So if there's two of you, you got $200. Keep it in small denominations, ones, if you can get it in ones. That way, oh well, you want to buy something that's $10 or $5, and they say, oh, we can't make change. You can just count out your singles. That way you can keep some of your money. That's one thought to do that. You want to make sure you got plenty of water, food, extra medicine, compass, have MREs, meals ready to eat, have some of those, stuff that's got a stable shelf life, keep those in your bag. Also, stock up on a few things like extra water in your RV if you plan on riding everything out in your RV without no natural disaster to run you away from it. Keep extra food on hand. I know it's hard to do those kind of things when you live in an RV because you get to wait. But if things start getting stupid and you think it's going to go to shut you down, that's something that I recommend, is getting some extras, just to kind of give yourself a couple extra weeks worth of food. Me and Miss Jill, we have plenty of extra water, plenty of extra food that we're keeping on hand right now, because like I said, currently we're in a place that we're more than likely either going to leave this camper here and get something else smaller to travel in, shorter distances, maybe not clear across the country like we usually would plan on doing, get away from this, like clear on to Florida. But unless you're blind, you're not, you're seeing all the stuff that's going on, and the signs are pointing back to what they're going to do. So being prepared, you know, it sounds funny to think about this kind of stuff. Now, all this stuff's not going to ever happen, but it has. And now I guess it's kind of got me in a different mindset of thinking, you know, well, I want to be more prepared for it this time than I was last. You know, by keeping the bug out bags, which is, it's never a bad thing to have a bug out bag, because you just never know as a full-time RVer if you get into a situation where you're going to need extra food, or a bug out bag to, you know, for some sort of natural disaster. If you're camping out in the middle of the BLM land someplace, it could be high water, it could get a washout. I mean, it could be anything, you know, just not just because of all the craziness going on in the world. It's not a bad thing to have stuff that's got good stable shelf life as far as food goes, and extra water. You must always keep extra water on hand, not just water in your RV's holding tank, you know, maybe some fresh bottled water or stuff like that. Keep these kind of things in your RV. Definitely have a good medical kit, like I said, extra medicine. Keep all that stuff on hand. Keep extras in your bug out bags in case, you know, something happens in the middle of the night and you got to have your medicine to live. You make sure you got that medicine there. So maybe not a bad thing to stock up on that kind of stuff right now. But the moral of the story is, everything's gone crazy. I think everybody should just really sit down and think and have a plan in place just in case things do happen. That way you have a place to go. That way you're not sticking around with your thumb up your butt, not knowing where to go, and getting chased state to state to state because they don't want you there because it's shut down. You're not a resident of that state. They want you out. Like I said, that's happened to a lot of other RVers and people that we've known who's messaged us and told us their story. You know, we're living in probably the craziest times I could have never even imagined we'd be living in right now. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are sitting here watching this video and thinking the same thing, is what the hell is going on? The truth is, none of us know what's going on. So, you know, try to be as prepared as possible by keeping these things and having a contingency plan and having a way out, a way to get back to a home base, which, you know, a lot of us got into full-time RV life because we didn't want a home base. We wanted, you know, the world to be our home. You know, the entire country's our home. No matter where we park our RV, that's our home, which it still can be. But like I said, even if you're in these other states, make sure you get a place that's going to be open year round. And most of those places contain full-time RVers who live there at a permanent residence. And there's some of those parks you have to look. They're smaller little RV parks. There's not a whole lot of, you know, amenities and fun things to do at these places, but it's a place to be parked and safe. That usually have some sort of utility system there. They got sewage there. They got water there. Things that you would need to sustain life. Look into those kind of places right there to have a campsite that's always going to be at your disposal. Like I said, it is going to cost money. It's going to take money out of your budget. But I think in the long run, with now living in these uncertain times, that's probably the easiest thing you could do to guarantee that you have a place to park your RV, a place that you can weather out the craziness in this world. Because like I said, you know, living in 2020, when they did that, we got so lucky and we found one spot that was available, and we got lucky that that particular campground was owned by a lawyer. She filed the paperwork to keep that place open, because they were trying to shut down every other campground around here in Ohio. So we got pretty lucky with that. And like I said, you guys, that's something you guys want to look into. So start asking these questions when, if you're looking into an RV park to possibly keep a site at, even though you're not there. Make sure it's one that do have some residents that live there. That way it's no longer just an RV park. It's actually considered a trailer park. So like I said, guys, I hope some of this stuff helped. If you got any thoughts or questions on this, or if you got some commentary that you think you want to share with everyone else about what your thoughts on this is, please leave it in the comments. You know, this is what this RV channel is about, is to try to help others who have questions. You know, I don't have every answer, just like I'm sure everybody else out here doesn't have every answer that we need, but if we work together, maybe we can all come up with a good solution to these problems. So like I said, guys, leave it down in the comments. And like I said, if you guys are out and about August 14th, we'd love to see you guys. Circle K, South Bloomfield, Ohio, 9:30 a.m. Pack it up. Let's go for a ride. And guys, this is Tony. We'll see you guys down the road. Bye.